everybody. Welcome to the Film Mastering and Distribution Masterclass. Here we are, week 4. We finished it up with distribution, one of my favorite topics to go over. So again, thanks for joining us on this journey. It's been great to just to share some of the insights I've experienced over the years, and also it's a great refresher to think about what are the current trends, what's going on, and what do you do with your film? So you finish the film, and that's, I think, a really important stage, is that you don't just want to finish the film and you show it to a few friends and family members, when you have the whole world out there and you have all these different platforms and a lot of technology and ways to get it out there. And again, as an artist, you want your art to be seen, and the film needs to be watched by people. Otherwise, it's there, but it's not really getting any exposure, right? So you want people to see that. So it's like, if you did a painting and no one ever were to see it, it's locked up somewhere. It's not very satisfying as an artist at the end to not be able to showcase your finished work. And with film, it's being able to get people to watch it, and that's the real satisfaction. So this is where distribution is kind of the end part of that, where we've done the mastering, we've done the marketing for the film to prepare it for this kind of distribution. We've done some film festival work, and distribution continues from there. So we're going to kind of go back a little and say, okay, well, film festival window, that film festival time is important, but then we go from there. So it's really, we'll go over all these aspects. So just, again, I want to thank all our partners in this project for making it happen. We have the Canada Council for the Arts, and we have all our library partners. So we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So again, thank you to all our partners. Overview, today we're going to look at distribution for film and video, what that means, creating a distribution release plan, types of distribution that's out there, going over what I've talked about, that Windows idea, planning it through, self-distribution, and that's a really great option that's viable. A lot of indie filmmakers are doing that, and you can really kind of guide your film where it goes, how it goes, and try to retain as much of the revenues from that as well. Then kind of the last thing, we'll look at free or pay-per-view as your film gets a little bit older, and what do you do with it? Or even from the beginning, it might be a question that you ask. So that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so let's jump right into this. So distribution for film or video. So once your film or video is complete, it's really important to get the film released, get it out to the public and the world. Just as we talked about what I said earlier, otherwise how else will someone be able to watch your film? If they can't see your film, your art's not getting out there. Your work is not really coming to fruition if people can't watch it. So there's several ways to distribute your film, and you can work with distributors. You can, sell the film to television stations, broadcasters, or streaming platforms, or you can do self-distributing. So those are kind of your main options there. Distributors, television streamers, self-distributing, and within self-distributing, that includes things like putting it online where people can watch it either as a rental, as a purchase, or maybe for it to be free. So it all starts with a distribution release plan, and this is again that whole planning thing. You want to know what happens when, how you're going to do it, because you want to make sure that you're not potentially missing out on something. And I'm going to give a general overview of the rough kind of steps you want to do. And sometimes it's different. Like there's been films where they're offered a bit of money for like a license fee, and it's like, I don't know, Amazon wants to put it on Amazon Prime right away. So they'll give you money, they put it on Amazon Prime, and you're foregoing potentially rentals through iTunes or something like that. And that's okay, because you have to just decide, hey, that's good. I'm getting a good fair market value. And I think that's really important. It's a really good term, fair market value. What is the value of your art? It shouldn't be free. And it could be if you want it to be, and maybe you have some grant money and it was funded, and you want it to just be free for people. But at the same time, there should be some monetary value to it, and you should be able to license it. You should be able to rent it to people, that kind of stuff. And I think that's important, is that maybe eventually it's out there and you want it out there for free, but initially there's always value to a film, whether of some sort. So just think about what that is. And even just being able to, the value could be just being able to track people who are watching it, so that they have to tell you, hey, I'm from this country, and then here you go, here's a complimentary access to the film. But that's a value too, just knowing who's watching it. Maybe you just need that, like that people have to kind of check in and say, hey, I'm from Australia, I'm watching your film, thank you. and you have that information. So that could be something that you want to gain as well. Okay, so distribution release plan. What is that? So there's several options for film distribution. And by creating a plan, you end up following a path and ensuring that the journey for the film's release is the one that you truly want it to have. And so it doesn't go off the rails. And what can happen is, what happens if you have a festival release and then, or, you put it online free first and you're like, hey, I want people to watch it, but the whole world can watch it. Let's say you put it on YouTube. Now, you've just missed potentially festival world premiere status. And, festival says, hey, is this a world premiere? And then you're like, oh, shoot, I put it on YouTube and the whole world could already access it for the last 3 months. So then they would not be able to say it's a world premiere. So that's something to think about. So by creating this distribution plan, you're creating this outline of a structure of how the film's going to go out there and ensuring that you're not missing something and that you're just going in the path you want to. I'm not saying that the path I'm going to show or talk about is the exact path you have to take. Again, you might want it out there for free first, and then some festivals take it at the same time. There's plenty of festivals that don't require a world premiere. There's also ways that, maybe you offer for free, but people can still buy it. If they really want to own it, then they can own it and access it that way, right? So there's a multitude of ways. So you want to start by deciding if you want to begin with that festival release. And we talked about that last week. The festival release window. So do you want to get it out to film festivals? Do you want to have those first premieres with the film festivals and go in that direction? Then you want to decide if you want it to be available as a rental window, so an online rental window. This is similar to in the past, if anybody remembers things like the whole VHS rentals, DVD rentals, that kind of rental window. That would kind of be the next window there, where it's early on people are renting it. Now, do you want to have broadcasters and television stations showing it? So that becomes your television window. And then do you want it to be available as a streamer window? So that would be going through online streamers like, Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus, Crave, CBC Gem, any of those kind of streaming services. Then also that you might have a final purchase window. And that could even be in the beginning. You might have a rental/purchase window where people can then buy the film and enjoy it forever. But oftentimes, I always like to recommend leaving this purchase window last, because by people being able to buy it, a one-time fee, they don't necessarily have to go to like Netflix to stream it, or they don't have to rent it and then have to rent it again if they really loved it. So you might be missing out a potential thing if someone just owns it, that they could be screening it multiple times and you're not getting additional revenues. But just something to think about. That's the purchase window. I always put it in kind of last as kind of an option that shows up at the end. So now, what are the windows? I think it's a great term. It's a way to talk about the timelines and periods, like a short window. So festival window, you might say, I'm going to just have 6 months for festivals, or I'm going to have 1 year for festivals. Then you might say for the rental window, I'm going to have 3 months of rentals. Then you might say the streamers, and they would negotiate. You might say, okay, I'm going to have 6 months or 1 year with a streamer. Television, they might say, we want it for 2 years or 3 years. So that becomes a window. And you can see how this planning starts to become important because things are overlapping. So if one television station is licensing it, and then another one wants it, if the first television station has it as an exclusive window, then that means you can't sell it to a second television station. But a non-exclusive window lets you sell it to station A and station B simultaneously. They could be airing it. So those are things to think about. If they're not offering a lot of money, try to get out of the exclusive window. So it's non-exclusive, so maybe you can sell it to a couple of stations, maybe like one in Ontario, one in Manitoba, something like that. So it's things to think about in that regard. And then, it helps you identify the steps in the distribution plan, these windows. And you can block them out. You can do like a bit of a flow chart and say, here's the window, here's the window. There's going to be some overlap. And again, this might not be the exact order. So here's kind of the types of distribution. I put it in a rough order again, just recapping what we just talked about. So festival window, showing and screening the film in festivals. So that would be kind of like your first window. Online rental window, allowing audiences to rent your film online. Theatrical window, so this could be an option. It's not necessarily maybe for a short, but a feature film, you might, or a longer documentary, you might want to have it as a theatrical window. There's some great festival theater type places, venues, let's say the Bloor Cinema, the TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival Lightbox. You can even rent screen time in some of these. So you might say, hey, I want to have like 2 or 3 screenings at the TIFF Lightbox. I'm going to spend whatever, a couple $1,000 doing that kind of theatrical release, just so that people can access it in the theater, because maybe you really want that experience out there. It's getting harder and harder to do the theatrical window, but that could be something that you want to do. That could potentially be before the online rental window in terms of the orders. Next would be the broadcast window. So you're licensing your film to broadcasters to show on their station. And then from there, the streaming window, this could be, again, it might be before or after the broadcast window. So you're licensing your film or receiving percentages from people's watching minutes from a streaming service that adds your film to their platform. So again, something like Netflix, it has your film on there. People can then just stream it, and they pay you either a license fee or you'd be getting percentages. Something like Amazon Prime, same deal. You're getting like usually residuals, or they want to pay you X amount of dollars so that they can have an exclusive early window. So you can see now, if someone is saying, hey, I want to jump ahead, I don't want an online rental, theatrical, or even maybe festival. They want your film right away. They saw it, maybe it was in one festival. They're like, I want it now. I don't want to wait a year for your festival window to end. I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars. You can see that the value is, if they want to jump that streaming window ahead a few spots, they should potentially pay you, because you're losing the online rental, maybe some of the theatrical, and some broadcast windows if someone wants it exclusively before, right? So something to think about. Then there's that, I put here last again, the online purchase window, just allowing people to buy that film later on. They just want to own it. So it's been out on all these things that just, and then you just have that audience that just wants to buy it, own it, and enjoy it forever, that kind of idea. So they can just have it, and keep it somewhere. So this is similar to in the past when then you'd sell, VHS or DVD to own. So you'd be like, here, it's $10, you can now own the DVD. And then people buy it, they have it at home, so they can rewatch it, enjoy it. But this is a few years after all these first windows have finished. And that's kind of the beauty there. Or if this online purchase window is earlier, we're seeing things now like, you have these kind of Disney things, Disney films come out, exclusive premiere access. You could be charging $30 if it could be a $5 rental, online rental, but you could say it's $30 if you want to own it, because obviously then you can watch it a few times, maybe some friends kind of see it, friends and family, so you're losing some revenues, but you're getting a bigger owning cost. So it could be the same thing where you do that at the same time. Really depends on the strategy, but if you look at a lot of films, they're usually doing a rental window, then a little bit later they let you purchase it once it's had some revenues in that manner. So just, again, something to think about. It's a lot of this is, I really encourage, if you have a short, to try these things out and kind of see what's going on with it, and you kind of learn from that. So start off with the short, do put it into festivals, do an online rental window that could be something through different platforms that I'll talk about. Maybe you see about some broadcasters wanting it or being able to put on a streaming thing, and then you might just be like a festival, online purchase. It might be that simple, and you go through it and you'll gain the experience of was it too expensive? If I'm charging $5 for a short film, do people really want to rent it for that much money? Versus like maybe it should just be 99 cents. Also, when they want to purchase it, what's the cost of that? Maybe it's just 99 cents at the end to purchase, and why not? You're still getting some revenues. Getting the best deal. So this is something to really think about. So when you're working with distribution and distributors specifically, there could be a company that says, I want to distribute your film. And they can say, we're going to get it to different broadcasters, put it on iTunes and so on. And then, so the question there is, what's the deal you're getting? So you want to always make sure there's some sort of a percentage point. So oftentimes they'll keep a certain amount of percentage, you get the rest. For example, they might keep 30% of all revenues from these sales and you get 70%. Or they might say, here's a straight license fee. They'll give you $10,000 to license your film for 5 years, and then they sell it around, and maybe they make $50,000. But the point is you got $10,000, and that's what's called the minimum guarantee. And that way you have some money in the bank for the film, and maybe they only sell it for $5,000. It's kind of the risk they take versus you having the risk. So then it's important always to get some sort of a license fee when you're dealing with television broadcasters, streamers, and so on. Because, if a broadcaster is showing the film, they're still potentially selling ads during it, or they have subscribers paying for it. So you should be getting a piece of that pie as well. And same with the streamers too. Like, are you getting a percentage? You shouldn't really be putting it out there for free with these kinds of commercial ventures that are charging people to watch things or putting ads in there. They're making money. So you as an artist should be making money if they're making money off of your art. So always think of it that way. It's always hard because as artists, we're not always commercially minded, or we're not necessarily thinking of, oh, I'm doing this just to make money. But at the end of the day, as artists, you still have to pay your bills, and you should be making some money off of your art at the end of the day. It's, some people have paintings in galleries. They're not just there to say, hey, grab the paintings, take whatever you want, enjoy. They're there, and it's like, here's a $5,000 painting. If you want to own that artist's painting, it's $5,000. If you want to just own a rental, kind of a copy, maybe it's $200 for a print instead of the original, right? So there's that same thing like with film. Do you want to kind of own it as a rental streamer? Do you want to purchase it for more money, right? So there's the same kind of idea between the art. So there's also exceptions I want to note for shorts. You may just wish to get it out there. So if someone's like, hey, I want to distribute, I'm going to put it on all these different platforms, and I can't really give you money, but if you're getting exposure, that might be worth something. If you have a 5-minute short, and it can be on streaming platforms or different services, or through in airlines being shown or something like that. If there's some good exposure, that's worth money too. So you might want to look at that too. It could just be really for that exposure. So as an early starting out artist, your other goal is really to get exposure and distribution through exposure, not necessarily a large license or revenue stream. Self-distribution, this is where it gets really interesting too. You may choose to do it yourself, and you can self-distribute your film. So it's becoming more and more possible and available through platforms such as Vimeo, and I'll show that. You can provide rental and purchase video on demand options. On YouTube, you can also do that. You can have like payment options where people can buy something, or have like private windows and sell things. You can also submit your film. You can work with, they're called the aggregates. So they have like access, they work with iTunes to create the files to iTunes specifications. You can work with them, and it costs about $1,000 for a film, and you can get your film placed onto iTunes so that people can then rent and buy it. You can also work with Amazon Prime. They're mainly dealing with long format now. They used to take shorts as well. And you can submit, put your film in there, Amazon Prime, and you can self-distribute as well. And again, you can self-distribute through Vimeo. So there's this great world, all these platforms that you can just work on your own. You can go on Vimeo and say, hey, I'm going to charge $1.99 for you to rent my film, and then you get that money, and there's a small fee that Vimeo keeps, and then you get the rest of the money. So you're self-distributing. Self-distributing can be, if you can't secure some sort of distribution, or you want to really see, control your revenue and see that you're getting the maximum amount of money, self-distribution can work quite well, especially for independent filmmaking. It usually is kind of a low cost to do, so it's not a high risk. And then you can just benefit from that. So if your film is exciting and you have some festivals behind it, there's a lot of great revenue potential in just self-distributing. If a distributor says, I'm gonna give you $25 potentially from, when you look at what the costs are, maybe it's not worth it. If you can self-distribute, you can probably make a few $100s on the film at a minimum in just self-distributing. It wouldn't be that difficult of a concept. So that's the idea there with self-distribution. So it could be really an exciting venture. So here's the thing too, should it be free or is it pay-per-view? So after a few windows, as we outlined before, or years, it could be just a good idea to provide the film for free as a reduced rent by option, or as a reduced rent by option. So you might say, hey, I'm just gonna have it out free on YouTube because it's like 4 years old and I just want that exposure now. Whoever hasn't seen it, let them see it. And you've already had it out there, and that's okay. That's a great thing, especially for like a short. Now, the reduced rent or buy option is also, so that's usually called library films. So they're, over like 3-4 years old. They're not new, and that's when you start doing, you see those rentals where they're like 99 cents or 1.99 to buy, and that's okay because it's still getting revenue. But that means probably a lot of people have already seen it. It's not a fresh piece that people will want to pay a lot of money for. So here's the analogy. Think of that always as the film gets older. Think of it like the paperback release. It's another release as you discount the price or offer it for free, and it's offered after that initial hardcover. So we see that the hardcover could be like $40 in a bookstore. The paperback is like $5 later on, 5-6 years later. It becomes a paperback. So it's in a pocket, compact form, cheaper, and because it's older material. Not that it's not a worse book, it's just in a different format, so different release. Now, something again on the free, it could be really beneficial to gain more exposure, especially with an untapped market, and that audience can help further build your name. So you want to always be getting that exposure. That's really our goals as artists and filmmakers, is to maximize the type of exposure we can be getting, and how does that end up working. So I'm just going to go here to vimeo.com, and I'll kind of go into, so this is kind of the channel of how it works, Vimeo page, and I'm just going to look, here's kind of like the mountain goat, this is a channel. And this is, I'm just kind of in an admin thing, so you're not really seeing it as the public view. So you can sell videos. So here's some of like the VOD pages. So for example, if I go to this film Snow People, this is what it looks like. And so this is the on demand. There's a trailer, and then it says, what is the cost here, and you decide the cost. There's trailers, there's a poster, bonus features, and that's it. Then you can watch the whole film. So in this case, it's it says I own this, so you don't have to do any purchases. Let's just search on demand. Let's just look up summer. There's probably gonna be some films. On demand, let's go right here. I'm just going to try and pull up some ideas. So here, this is what it would look like. So here, the summer house. So here's just the information. So drama, romance, 1 hour, 40 minutes, available worldwide. And then you can see rent is $3.78 for a 24-hour streaming period. Buy, you can stream plus download anytime for $8.83. So that's it. The price is there. Then you click on those, you pay for it, and off you go. You can watch it. This is from 2015. So you can watch the trailer, decide if you want to do it, and you go from there. That's how you'd set it up. So that's the thing to think about is on the rental side, what's the length? Like what should be the price point? And Vimeo is great because it will even suggest some price points. It will say, hey, it will ask you, this is older. When you put the year, this is, let's say, from 2015. It will say, it shouldn't be $15. It should be, $3.78. So I think that comes to like a $2.99 US rental. So it will suggest things too. The thing too is to think about, should it be, a 24-hour rental? Should it be a 48-hour rental? And how can you work that into your plan, right? So that would be how you would do a Vimeo VOD, video on demand. It's also called transactional because you're charging people. So it's a TVOD. So that's something that's really interesting in the self-distribution. So I highly recommend the Vimeo platform. I think it's a great platform in terms of just being able to watch trailers and then being able to rent things and find things. And you can just link people right over to that site and go from there. So here's the iTunes aggregator list. And here I'm just gonna. So this is what these are the laboratories, if you will, that can work with you. So Deluxe, it says here it's in Canada. You can work. It's an encoding house for movies, television, movies extra, preferred plus, and then so you can see it kind of has different um, different abilities. And then so here, these are the partner searches. So you go on iTunes partner.apple.com, and you can find someone that you can work with to make that work. And yeah, a lot of different companies. So let's just look up Diffuse. It's going to take you right to their thing. We're content catalysts. So you can go here to like distribution services and find out. They do versioning. And then so you can get back in touch with them. Let's go to like another one here. Go to this Juice Worldwide. It's another Canadian company. So we can go services. We can go to distribution. So they're a content aggregator, so you can do the whole, licensing and everything. Here's who they work with: Amazon, Apple, Google. So you can get it on all these different platforms with them, and you just pay different fees, and you get in touch with them, and you go from there. So that's how you would do if you want to get into these. Kind of like iTunes and things like that. So as you can see, self-distribution, there's really no limit in what you can do and what you can achieve in self-distribution. You just need to work with someone that can put you into the iTunes. You can't just put it on there directly. Versus Amazon, you can actually work and put your films on there. They stop taking shorts, but they do take a longer format. Medium to feature length is still out there. So just something to think about. And at the end of the day too, you might just want to put your film on YouTube, and it could just be totally just publicly open. You can get a few million views, you can get all these subscribers, and then you could be getting what's called advertising revenue, or where you start to get money from the ads that are played around your film because you have over 1 million views, and so on. Now, something too, just to kind of demystify that area is, you need, some people have even 1 million subscribers. I think they make a few $100s a month with that. So you're talking about, you need millions and millions to really make tons of money. So it's YouTube isn't necessarily a huge money making thing. So you should always consider, like I showed the Vimeo aspect, if you can get $2 a rental, you can get 100 rentals a month. You got $400 that way, or $300-400 you could be making on rentals, and then you're working it in your own way, and it can work quite nice. But again, it all comes back to all the steps. So you have to finish your film, master it, you have to do the marketing plan, you want to get some festivals, as whatever it is. Every film has a niche festival out there where it could be in, just so that it gets a little bit of recognition. So why should people see it? It really, really helps, because generally with indie filmmaking, we don't have necessarily the big A-list actors and or content, and you just want people to know, hey, this, it's been recognized, so that when people rent it, they're like, okay, it's been in some festivals, or it's been recognized with some awards, it's worth watching. It just helps put a little bit of credibility until you build your own name as an artist as well. So there's a lot of fun possibilities on what's out there. So yeah, I think that I'm just going to put up information. If you want to email me, you can go right to tom@tbmcs.ca. So if you have any questions about marketing or distribution, or again, just about creator space, and if you're working on films and videos, and you need some help with anything technical, but I'd love to know more about what you're doing, marketing, distribution plans, send me an email, tom@tbmcs.ca. I'd be happy to learn more about what you're doing. So again, thanks for joining me. It's been a real pleasure to present distribution and marketing. I think this series, we'll definitely we'll put it. You've joined us now. You can rewatch all the past episodes. We'll get this up on YouTube in the coming weeks, and it's a great archival series that I hope you'll be able to reference and go back to and take some some of these takeaways in terms of what the plan is and what to think about. And if we start thinking about marketing and distribution before we start the film, it just helps you to be that much more successful when the film's done and get it out there, because then you already have that all these tools ahead of time, and you're not scrambling to kind of put it all together after. So you want to kind of know, and this really helps too in deciding with the film, like, what is the commercial potential? What are the film festival potentials for the film? So a lot of great questions that you should ask yourself before starting any kind of an arts project. Like, who will be your audience? Do you want it to go to festivals? Just like if you're doing a painting, do you want it to go to galleries and that kind of area? Or do you want people to purchase it and pay a lot of money for it? So, and this is the world of arts and commerce and everything. It's all kind of a blend. But at the end of the day, don't undersell your film. It always has some sort of a value, whether it's, specifically with festivals to gain more stature as an artist and to get your brand out there more, or if it is to make a little bit of money from the revenues generated. So especially if you've self-funded your film, it's time to get some of that money back as well. So anyways, I leave you with that. It's been a real pleasure to do this masterclass. So this has been week 4, distribution. I want to thank all our partners again, Canada Council for the Arts, and then we have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library. Be sure to check out all the digital arts computers and digital arts equipment where you can do all of this mastering and create your film and video projects with the digital arts equipment available at all these library partners. Thanks again. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you guys soon. All the best.